Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending my presentation. To begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Shaima Yaqoubi, a second-year PhD student at the National School of Engineering of Tunis at the University of Tunis Al Manar. Today, I'm presenting my work entitled A Multimodal Biometric Identification System Based on ECG and PPG Signals, realized within the Laboratory of Image Signal and Information Technology under the supervision of Mrs. Reem Bisrour and under the direction of Mr. Zayed Lashiri. So to begin, let's present the planning of our presentation. My presentation is organized as follows. I will start with a small introduction in which I will present the context of the subject, the problematics, and the objective of my work. Thereafter, I will introduce some work related to the context. Then I will detail the proposed solution and implementation details. Finally, I will explore the result obtained as well as the interpretation, and I'll close with a conclusion and future work. Nowadays, connected objects are spreading worldwide, producing a massive increase of exchanges through wireless network. This fact makes data a more visible target to cyber attacks. Meanwhile, traditional security methods showed their inherent vulnerability. Eventually, it's important to find a reliable alternative to protect the integrity of our devices and the sensitive data. Meanwhile, biometry, a new security method based on human trace, came as an alternative to overcome the vulnerability of older methods, thanks to its uniqueness and precision. But as biometric systems are adopted, attacks are proportionally developed. It is hence important to enhance existing biometric systems and upgrade them. That's why research based on physiological signals are gaining tremendous attention. In fact, they are electrical signals which can be measured directly from human body. Recent study focuses on one-dimensional physiological signals such as ECG signals, EEG, PCG, and PPG signals. They have the distance advantage of enabling continuous authentication or identification systems since they can be captured for a long duration without manual intervention. Hence, our research focuses on the physiological signals as a powerful and new biometric traits. But it is important to mention that unimodal identification systems do not guarantee reliable results, especially on systems based on small datasets due to the lack of information provided. That's why multimodal biometry present an effective solution to remedy this problem by integrating several biometrics traits into the same system. So the main goal of our study is to develop a multimodal biometric system based on the two signals ECG and PPG using deep learning techniques. As we already said, many research have been done using these two signals and were developed with either machine learning or deep learning techniques. They have made satisfying results compared to the state of art. To begin, let's introduce briefly the two signals. In fact, ECG signals describe the electrical activity of the heart as in function of time and describe the depolarization and repolarization sequences of various muscles that makes up myocardium. The information recorded from ECG is presented as a series of waves with particular shape and duration, which are repeated in each cardiac cycle. Three essential phases are recorded for each cycle: the P wave, the QRS complex, and the T wave. On the other hand, PPG signal is a non-invasive electro-optical method which measures the change in volume of blood the blood flowing through the body part under testing. Its cycle can be composed of systolic peak, dichrotic notch, and diastolic peak. Both signals have proved the requirement of universality, permanence, and conductibility. Through our work, we designed two systems, both of them based on three important phases: the choice of data set, signal pre-processing, and classification. The first system is an end-to-end system based on a classic 1D CNN. And the second one is a hybrid deep learning architecture. As a first step, the work was trained with the TROIKA dataset, providing both ECG and PPG signal from 12 male healthy subjects. The ECG signal was filtered with a sixth order Butterworth bandpass filter with a cutoff of 250 Hz. The PPG signal was filtered with a fourth order Butterworth bandpass filter with a cutoff of zero point 0.2 and 18 Hz. Subsequently, the two signals were segmented into 125 samples. After that, the entity were normalized by removing the mean, adapting the variance to the unit. The standardization was done with standard scalar from scikit-learn. The objective of our research is the analysis and the comparison of identity by testing the different architecture based on deep learning network. At the first step, a data fusion was applied to the two characteristic vectors were combined using a simple concatenation to widen the data processed by the model. Our first model is an end-to-end model in which a simple 1D CNN was implemented to satisfy both feature extraction and classification requirements. In fact, CNN is able to process multidimensional data such as images and time series due to their complex structure comprising layer of connected two or three dimensional neuron. The structure of CNN is similar to a neural network with the input layer, hidden layer, and output layers. CNN is an improved version of a classic neural network that is both transitional and shift variant. Second model is a hybrid model in which 1D CNN was applied to extract parameters and RNN is implemented for classification matters. RNNs are a class of supervised machine learning model made up of artificial network with one or two feedback loops, which are recurrent cycle over time. Each of LSTM, BLSTM, and GRU cells were tested separately. Both models were trained using stochastic degrant technique, a descent technique, a batch size of 25 out of 100 iteration. The following figure represents the architecture of the hybrid model using the GRU cell as a classifier. 3 CNN layers were implemented with scaled exponential linear units for activation and separated by a max pooling layer of size of 4. A dropout layer was needed to minimize the useless value and reduce dimension. Thereafter, GRU cell with 128 size was implemented to classification matters, followed by a dropout layer. Finally, a fully connected layer is implemented. Adaptive moment estimation is used as an optimizer with the default hyperparameters, which is recommended for training the RNNs. Our network was trained on NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 GPU and modeled in Keras 2.3.1 version, configured to use TensorFlow 1.13.1 version as a backend. Results are in form of confusion matrix accuracy and loss curves. The confusion matrix summarizes the predicted result on a classification problem. Correct and incorrect prediction are highlighted and broken down by the class. Results are thus compared to the actual values. It helps understand how classification model is confused when it makes prediction and help detect error and type of them. The following figure represents the obtained result with the hybrid model containing GRU cells. To summarize, the end-to-end architecture showed the weakest result in terms of accuracy. The use of a hybrid model showed better result. Hence, it is important to take into account the training time of each architecture tested in order to be able to differentiate between them and have the best model with the highest precision and execution time ratio. Since the architecture based on LSTM and BLSTM cells have shown similar results and a very high execution time, we deduce that the use of the two cells is not recommended for a real-time execution. On the other hand, the integration of GRU cell has improved the result, and that's due to the structure of the GRU cell. which controls the flow of information like the LSTM unit, but without having to use the memory unit. It simply exposes the complete hidden continent without any control. But their computing power is more efficient thanks to its less complex structure, which achieved a training time of 2 minutes. To conclude, the proposed system showed satisfying result compared to the similar research, but it is important to mention that we were limited by the size of the dataset in terms of number of subjects and duration of record. As future work, we aim to implement a real-time execution system and implement it using sensors in order uh, to build an unlocking application. We also aim to test our system on cloud. To finish, I'd like to thank everyone for listening to me. I hope I was clean and brief. I'm really waiting for your remarks and questions.